Annotto Bay has benefited from Jamaican $244 million project focused on protecting its coastline. As per the Jamaica Observer, there is no greater protection for the coastal town of Annotto Bay, St. Mary from the impact of climate change. Through the project, groynes have been placed in the sea, which are intended to slow down wave action and trap sand, protecting the shoreline. Now, this project is significant for Annotto Bay because, in addition to Annotto Bay serving as that key link between other St. Mary towns and Portland, Annotto Bay has a history of disastrous impact caused by geo-based hazards. Now, as per the ODPEM Multi-Hazard Assessment Report 2013, the main geohazards that impact Annotto Bay are riverine flooding, earthquakes, hurricane-induced storm surges. Now, what I would like to just mention to you and implore you to do is to go through this ODPEM report because it is very extensive and thorough. What it is that you can gather, or you should be able to gather, is that in and of itself, Annotto Bay is highly vulnerable as a coastal town to these geo-based hazards. Now, in the context of the groynes, how effective these groynes will be as it pertains to reducing the vulnerability of Annotto Bay to, let's just say, earthquake impact through whether it be reduction of the earth or subsidence, that is basically reducing the height of the land itself, bringing it lower to the level of the sea, and or through the tsunami effect as an example. Or it could also be in the context of flooding. You know, these hazards are not fully expressed or emphasized as it pertains to how the groynes will protect or reduce the vulnerability of Annotto Bay to those specific hazards. What I can foresee is the groynes having a greater impact as it pertains to hurricane-induced storm surges. So as was mentioned, by basically reducing erosion, you're pretty much improving the buffering effect in the context of, basically preserving the coastline, and to an even greater extent, basically reducing the disastrous impact to those dwellers who reside and have their business close or within the Annotto Bay town. But basically, what it is that you should be able to take away is that with the multi-hazards that Annotto Bay is vulnerable to, this groyne project or this groyne implementation geared towards the coastal protection of Annotto Bay should be seen as only the beginning. There are other elements that will have to be added to further strengthen the capacity of the Annotto Bay region itself to mitigate against the kind of vulnerability in the area of riverine flooding, in the area of subsidence induced by earthquake impact, in the area of storm surge and its erosional effects per se. What it is that I would have seen when I would have captured some of my images is that there is still there exists an unfinished building along the coastline. You should have been able to see it in the video here, and that is a major striking point to say, first of all, how is it that this location is still building up, how it has been approved, and where are the mitigative effects of the groyne, as an example, within that region itself. This gives an indication as it relates to the kind of unplanned settlement or unregulated settlement that still exists, and basically that should pretty much be considered, and the kind of regulatory and even enforcement action taken to mitigate against any form of disastrous impact that can arise through property damage and even loss of life and livelihood due to individuals building or engaging in practices that go against the kind of mitigative strategies that are trying to be implemented or probably even being implemented by the government agencies and researchers, as an example. So citizens have a responsibility just the same for their protection.